Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this first audio, I'm going to read Architecture School, 3 Centuries of Educating Architects in North America. I did it by Joan Ockman with research editor Rebecca Williamson. So let's get started. Forward. Architecture School, 3 Centuries of Educating Architects in North America is the centerpiece of the Association of Collegiate Schools of Architecture Centennial Celebration. The ACSA envisaged this book as making a lasting contribution to architectural scholarship and filling a void in the literature on architecture education. The ACSA came into being in December 1912, when representatives from 8 architectural programs in the United States gathered in Washington, D.C. Minutes from that first meeting document the creation of an association charged with promoting a free discussion of the issues facing its member schools. The ACSA moved quickly to define academic standards that would necessarily be to the advantage of the whole field of architecture. Meeting these standard minima became a criterion for membership in the association until 1932, when it abandoned them in favor of fostering greater diversity among schools. The ACSA was also launched in the expectation that it would receive the cooperation of practicing architects. The quality of education, shared scholarly interests, and an orientation to architecture practice have been the ACSA's abiding concerns for a century now. Since 1912, the association has grown to include 134 accredited and in-candidacy schools, primarily in the United States and Canada, and nearly 100 affiliate member programs around the world. Today, the membership comprises over 5,000 faculty, educating over 30,000 students. From its earliest discussions, the ACSA saw itself as an international organization with Canadian and Mexican schools among its membership. It continues to benefit from the participation of the Canadian schools, currently numbering 11, while the Mexican schools have their own association and accrediting body. In 2008, the ACSA Board of Directors initiated a planning process for the association's centennial. The members of the steering committee agreed in their first meeting to celebrate the strengths of architecture education as a whole. They also agreed that the centennial projects should benefit current and future faculty, students, and architectural programs themselves, and should reflect on the past, present, and future of architecture education. A bibliography prepared by Brian Kelly, steering committee co-chair and Northeast director, showed that despite notable works reflecting on architecture education in North America, no comprehensive book existed. Thus, the ACSA rather easily arrived at a project whose benefits were obvious, but whose production would take significant labor. The committee advised the association to seek an editor with a broad perspective on architecture as a profession and as a discipline, and one with significant publication experience who would rigorously engage the historical development of the schools. Joan Ockman's career matched this profile, and after initial discussions, we awaited her proposal on how to shape such a volume. Professor Ockman came up with a compelling 2-part invention, a chronological narrative followed by a lexicon of topics deserving more elaboration. The selection of lexicon entries many prompt questions among readers about topics that are missing as well as those that are included. Yet both parts of the book are remarkable for revealing how many issues have continued to hold the attention of architecture faculty and practitioners over the years. One overriding challenge to architecture education during the last century has been balancing professional, disciplinary, and liberal arts emphases in the curriculum. The demands of creating technically proficient graduates have varied through history. In every decade, schools have had to conceptualize the skills, modes of thoughts, and the method of inquiry that best prepare graduates for their chosen career. These conceptions have had to be correlated with those of the profession and calibrated to avoid reducing architecture education to vocational training and to enable students to navigate in an evolving field. Schools have also had to reassess their position in the university so as to contribute meaningfully to the prevailing discourse of higher education. These complex and interrelated debates have historically taken many forms. Each school defines its mission and curriculum based on fundamental questions about people and the natural world. Beginning students launch into a tradition that is both ancient and constantly re-evaluating its relationship to the client and to society. And the profession is particularly beholden to economic trends, as the recession that spanned the creation of this book witnessed. The severity of the downturn drove firms out of business and forced graduates to make difficult career choices. Schools and their faculty had to balance architecture's claims as a pursuit with autonomous, ethical, and aesthetic aims against those of the marketplace, just as prior generations of students, educators, and architects also had to confront such challenges. So will future ones. After a century of existence, the ACSA has evolved from a close-knit group of schools seeking to coordinate their efforts into a large international organization with a highly diverse membership. Yet, through its 100 years, the need for free discussion has endured. This book not only documents some of that discussion, but suggests how the profession might face the challenges ahead. In the insights of the more than 3 dozen contributing authors have enormously enriched this account of architecture education in North America. We wish to acknowledge Professor Ockman's vision for this book, her ability to assemble a group of skilled authors, and her success in integrating their work into a cohesive volume. We also thank Professor Rebecca Williamson for her efforts working with authors and tirelessly researching and securing images, documents, and other materials. Architecture School would not have been possible without funding from the Graham Foundation and the numerous donations given to the ACSA, both for this publication and for a series of related centennial events. We are most appreciative of the support we have received. Beside this book, the ACSA Board of Directors has approved 3 other anniversary projects: an online exhibition documenting community service and public outreach activities at architecture schools, especially themed sections in the Journal of Architectural Education, and finally, the 100th annual meeting, which will celebrate the scholarship of the ACSA membership. Finally, this book also reflects what has helped the ACSA to endure: the contribution of countless hours of volunteer service by faculty, students, and practitioners to advancing architecture education. We very gratefully acknowledge the support of the ACSA board. A list of 66 presidents who have served the ACSA in its first century follows. Each president has in turn relied on a board of educators, students, and public members who have sought what is best for architecture schools. Marlene K. Davis, Brian Kelly, Michelle J. Monte,